You are waiting for a baby to arrive. The room is bright. Someone is watching
The
the
chart
heartbeat.
shows a normal heart.
A surgeon is nearby if anything goes wrong. Blood can be replaced. Infection can be treated. Pain can be
Please take this
controlled.
medicine.
Now remove all of it. No sterile room. No antibiotics. No blood bank. No emergency operation. No monitor warning that the baby is stuck. There is only a laboring mother, a shelter, a few people who may know what to do, and a body attempting one of the tightest maneuvers in human biology. Every person alive comes from an unbroken chain of births that worked. Yet human childbirth can become dangerously difficult. Why did human childbirth become so dangerous? And how did your ancestors survive it? The answer begins with a twisting passage, grows into an evolutionary argument, and ends with something anatomy could never solve alone. Imagine a woman in a prehistoric camp as labor begins. The danger is not that the infant must pass through one narrow ring. The human birth canal changes shape along the way. Its entrance is often widest from side to side, while the exit is often widest from front to back. A baby entering head first therefore usually has to turn while descending. The skull helps. Its bones are not yet fused into a rigid helmet, so they can shift and mold under pressure. But flexibility is not a magic key. After the head passes, broad shoulders must negotiate the canal in another orientation. Birth, in other words, comes with a built-in three-point turn. If that turn fails, the problem can escalate quickly. Obstructed labor can exhaust the mother, injure the infant, or become fatal without a way to resolve it. Other threats, including bleeding and infection, may arrive even after the mechanical problem appears to be over. Most births can succeed. The danger lies in the smaller number that cannot safely finish on their own. The familiar explanation sounds simple. Walking on two legs favored a compact pelvis. Growing brains favored larger infant heads. Those pressures collided, forcing humans to give birth early to helpless babies. This classic idea is called the obstetrical dilemma. It captures part of the problem, but was walking on two legs really the whole explanation? Experiments have found that pelvic width alone does not straightforwardly predict the energy people use while walking or running. Human pregnancy is also not unusually short for a primate of human body size. Human newborns are neurologically immature, but they are not merely premature apes pushed out because the pelvis ran out of room. The better answer is messier. Evolution did not have the courtesy to standardize the equipment. Human birth canals vary among individuals and populations. A textbook diagram is an average, not a universal blueprint. The fit also involves more than the width of one opening. Pelvic depth, posture, the spine, soft tissue, the mother's growth and nutrition, the infant's head and shoulders, and the position of the baby all matter. So why did evolution not simply make the canal wider? A pelvis is not only a doorway for birth. It helps hold up the organs of an upright body. Models suggest that changing the canal can alter stresses on the pelvic floor and the posture needed to balance the trunk. A shape that eases one part of birth may create costs somewhere else. Natural selection was adjusting an entire load-bearing system, not enlarging a circular hole. Then there is energy. Late pregnancy drives the mother's metabolism toward a high sustained level. One influential hypothesis argues that this energetic ceiling helps determine when birth begins. Pelvic fit and maternal energy are not rival answers that require one winner. They can constrain the same pregnancy together. Nature found several compromises and filed none of the paperwork. This changes the central picture. Human childbirth was not made dangerous by one evolutionary mistake. Large heads, broad shoulders, a changing canal, upright posture, pelvic floor support, fetal growth, and maternal energy converged. The result was a remarkably workable system with a narrow margin for certain failures. But how can archaeology tell us that childbirth was dangerous at all? The honest answer is that it usually cannot tell us how often mothers died. The fossil record is excellent at preserving bone and terrible at keeping hospital notes. Hemorrhage, infection, seizures, and many fatal obstructions leave no clear mark on a skeleton. Fossil pelves preserve only part of the mechanism. Soft tissue disappears. Missing bone must be reconstructed, and fetal size often has to be estimated. There are rare snapshots. At the early Neolithic cemetery of Lokomotiv in southern Siberia, archaeologists examined the burial of a young woman with the remains of 2 full-term fetuses positioned around her pelvis and thighs. The arrangement is consistent with a fatal obstructed twin labor. It is one case, not a prehistoric mortality rate, but it makes the mechanical risk painfully concrete. Did ancient mothers always face this alone? No universal answer survives. Contemporary communities cannot be treated as living copies of prehistory, and birth practices vary. Some societies value attendants and experienced helpers. Others have held up solitary birth as an ideal, while still making room for assistance during first or difficult births. Yet the mechanics make help valuable. In a common human delivery, the infant emerges facing away from the mother. Reaching down to clear an airway, guide a shoulder, or lift the infant can be awkward for someone exhausted and unable to see what is happening. Another pair of hands can protect, support, and respond. Anthropologists Karen Rosenberg and Wenda Trevathan argued that this difficult rotational birth helped make assistance an important part of human evolution. That is a plausible hypothesis, not a filmed record of the first midwife. Social attendance is not uniquely human either. Researchers have observed female bonobos staying close to laboring mothers and offering protection and support during 3 captive births. So, the payoff is more careful than a heroic invention story. Ancient mothers were not guaranteed assistance, and no single practice describes every place or period. But knowledge could accumulate. A helper could recognize a stalled labor, change a position, bring water, keep a fire, support the mother, receive the infant, or care for other children. None of that removes every lethal complication. It changes the odds around a vulnerable event. Why did human childbirth become so dangerous? Because several evolutionary compromises converged in one passage. A large head, broad shoulders, a twisting canal, an upright body, and a mother working near demanding physical limits. And how did your ancestors survive it? Not through flawless anatomy. They survived through flexible skulls, variable bodies, learned behavior, and, often, other people. The same birth that exposed a profound human weakness also rewarded one of humanity's greatest strengths, turning danger faced by one person into a problem carried by a group.
Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe